Hey y'all, Matt here from RetroOnly.com. Today I'm going to be talking again about the Nintendo Switch. And specifically today I'm going to be answering the question of whether the Switch is kid-friendly or not. If you have kids or if you're buying the Switch for a child, then knowing whether it's a good console and whether it's kid-friendly before you spend the $300 on it, not including controllers or games, it's important to know whether it's a good console for games and for kids to play those games on. Because not every console is designed for games, and not every console is going to work well with kids. It just is what it is. So let me go ahead and cover why I feel like the Nintendo Switch is a good console for kids, and how you can decide whether it's good for your kids or for the child that you're buying it for or not. Before we hop into that, please be sure to hit that like button and then also subscribe to our channel. It really does help us out a lot and also allows other people who have the exact same question to get their question answered too. So please remember to like and subscribe. Let's go ahead and hop into the Nintendo Switch and whether it's good for kids. When talking about whether the Switch is good for kids or not, it's important to remember a couple of different things. First of all is how will the Switch be used? If you're going to leave it used, docked to your TV the majority of the time, then I would say absolutely it's great for kids no matter their age. And that's what I do. I have 3 children. I have a 10-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old. And what we do is we quite simply, unless we're going on a trip, going cross country, something like that, we leave the Switch on the dock connected to the TV right here behind me all the time. So if the kids want to play on the Switch, they just ask. They either pop out one of these extra controllers that we have or pull out the Joy-Cons, pop it onto the controller adapter, and then they're ready to go and play their games. If you have younger kids, that's especially a good option. Now, my 10-year-old, I would probably trust with actually holding the Switch on its own, but I've just made a general rule at my house that you can't play the Switch unless it's docked. One, being on the TV, it's a lot bigger, so there's less fighting, multiplayer, you can actually see the screen, whereas on a tiny Switch screen, you're just not going to be able to see it very well, so that would be an issue. But also because I don't want my kids to drop the Switch, quite honestly. I am afraid that my 6-year-old's going to have it off, and then him and his 3-year-old sister are going to start fighting, or him and his 10-year-old sister are going to start fighting, and all of a sudden the Switch ends up dropped or thrown or something like that. So I just have a general rule that it has to stay docked if they're going to play on it. That's a rule that's up to you, whether you feel like that's important for your kids or not. It's totally up to you. That's just what I do here in my house. And so in that regards, I do think that the Switch is very kid-friendly. So because you can leave it docked the majority of the time. The second thing that I believe is kid-friendly and why I like the Switch as a console for families, as a console for those with kids, is because of the game variety. Now, of course, you can get kid games on any console. If you have an Xbox, you can get some games for kids on it. If you have a PlayStation, you can get some games for kids on it. But Nintendo, because of all the different characters that they have, has a lot of possible games that are very kid-friendly. For example, many of these games right in front of me, my kids, my 6-year-old and my 10-year-old, absolutely love playing. Now, my 3-year-old, she can't really figure out exactly what's going on, but she still likes to get her controller and she likes to join in if she can, even if she's going backwards on Mario Kart or running off the edge, those sorts of things. She still likes to have some fun with that. So the game choice is another reason why I feel like it's kid-friendly. So those are a couple of the main reasons why the Nintendo Switch is kid-friendly. The third thing is depending on how you do the games. So one thing that I absolutely love about the Switch is that you can download the games directly to your Switch rather than having the physical cartridges like I have here in front of me. Now, these physical cartridges, they're not bad. It just can be a hassle to constantly be switching out cartridges here and there. If I had my choice, I would have none of these cartridges. Now, I got some of these on sale. I got some of these when I first got the Switch, so I didn't really know any better. But I love having access to digital games and just downloading the games right to my Switch. Now, why do I love that? Because with 3 kids, 2 that play on the Switch essentially by themselves, having to swap out the cartridges gets annoying. They are tiny. If you have not looked at the Switch before or haven't seen how small the cartridges are, They are tiny, and it's way, way too easy to lose this tiny cartridge. You'd think with something so big it would be bigger, but it's a tiny cartridge. And I understand that that works great because the Switch is rather small, but having to take out a cartridge and put in a cartridge and keep them in the case, it just, with younger kids, it's just a lot. So having digital downloaded games to my Switch makes it so much simpler. I don't have to worry about changing out the cartridge every time my kids want to change the game. Instead, they simply go over to the game that they want, go on to that game, and it immediately opens and they can start playing it. No cartridge switching required. Now again, that depends on how you buy your games. If you buy your games physically, then you're going to have to change the cartridge every single time. But if you buy your games digitally from the Nintendo eShop, you can simply download them right to your Switch and you don't ever have to worry about a cartridge being lost. You don't ever have to worry about one being broken because your kid was being too hard on it while they were taking it out or trying to put it back in the case or take it out of the case. You don't have to worry about any of that. So that is the third reason why I really feel that the Switch is a kid-friendly console, because you can download entire games directly onto it and you don't have to worry about them losing it, them breaking those, or in the case of Xbox or PlayStation, them scratching up the discs and then they become unplayable. With digital games on the Nintendo Switch, you don't have to worry about any of that. So that is super kid-friendly. I hope that this video has been helpful to you in answering your questions about the Nintendo Switch and whether it's kid-friendly or not. Again, my name is Matt. I'm from RetroOnly.com. Have a great rest of your day.